Welcome to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo with the May 15th, 2024 222nd edition. Colleen Daniel is in Studio West. We are here with the About Mansfield news team. Coming up today, Mansfield news, talk, and information.
And a little later in the episode, you will have a chance to win a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice with our Mansfield Trivia Question, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance.
Let's take a look at the stories we're covering this week.
Timberview shooter facing new charges.
City Council welcomes a new councilman. Hawaiian Falls makes good on a rainy Mother's Day. And in sports, Legacy Baseball marches on.
And in the talk segment, Steve concludes his in-studio talk with Mansfield Fire Rescue Chief Mike Ross. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
Are you ready to take advantage of falling mortgage interest rates in the coming months? This is Roger with the Roger and Beth team. With housing demand predicted to increase across the DFW Metroplex, the Roger and Beth team are standing by to help move you and your family forward. No move in your future? That's okay too. It's time for your annual review of your real estate portfolio, and we're happy to help. Contact us at homesinmansfield.com. That's homesinmansfield.com.
This is Paul Duncan with Trinity Solar Services. That's right, solar. Back in the 1960s, NASA used solar cells in their space missions. But get this, the very first solar cells were actually invented back in 1883. Solar energy has made great strides over the past 140 years, but one theme remains constant: solar works. Solar panels are the MVPs of renewable energy. While reducing carbon emissions and taking a stand against climate change, solar panels can also help to greatly reduce your electric bill. Trinity Solar Services is your sun-powered solutions, and we want to deck out your home with top-notch Tier 1 panels without breaking the bank. Reach out to us today for a complimentary quote. Trinity Solar Services is a Mansfield-based company that's all about building relationships through good old-fashioned, family-owned business values. Find us online at trinitysolarservices.com. That's trinitysolarservices.com.
Hello, I'm Constable Sandra Lee, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Convicted Timberview High School shooter Timothy Simpkins, currently serving a 12-year sentence, faces additional charges related to the October 2021 shooting that injured a teacher and 2 students. Found guilty of attempted capital murder in July 2023, the now 20-year-old Simpkins shot 15-year-old Zacchaeus Selby during a classroom altercation. 2 coaches intervened, witnessing Simpkins shoot Selby 6 times and graze student Shania McNeely. Teacher Calvin Pettit was also shot. What Simpkins and his attorney didn't see coming are 3 counts of aggravated assault and unlawfully carrying a weapon, which Simpkins faces at trial on May 16th. Simpkins' attorney, Lisa Pamplin, argues against the new charges, citing double jeopardy, that Simpkins already stood trial for shooting teacher Pettit and student McNeely as part of the attempted capital murder case. She states that according to the double jeopardy clause of the Fifth Amendment, Simpkins shouldn't be tried for those offenses a second time.
And Colleen, we were not able to connect with Mayor Michael Evans for this week's In Studio A Moment with the Mayor segment, but he was kind enough to record a recap of last night's City Council meeting. Michael?
We started the meeting by saying thank you to outgoing council member Casey Lewis. Councilman Lewis has served on the council since 2018, and it's been a a wonderful time of service. And for me, it's been a blessing serving alongside him. Very intelligent man. All right, 3 council members took the oath of office after running unopposed. Council members Brent Newsom and Miss Julie Short will continue serving, and we welcome the newest member to our council, Mr. Juan Fresquez. Now, City Council also elected Council Member Todd Tenora to continue serving as Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Tenora has already done a fantastic job fulfilling mayoral duties in my absence, and I know that he'll continue to serve our community very well. All right, y'all, we approved a detailed site plan for 134 lots in a townhouse development that's located on 20 acres at the Somerset Addition on South US 287. City Council also held the first reading on several zoning change requests. In the consent agenda, we approved 6 items for consideration. All right, so what are they? Well, we amended our agreement with Tarrant County as we work together to widen Dave Meyer Road from East Broad Street to Seaton Road for cooperative funding of about $5.5 million. We've been waiting on it, and here it is. All right, we amended our agreement with Tarrant County in cooperative funding of $1.5 million to extend Dick Price Road from Gertie Barrett Road to North Main Street. This project is going to help to alleviate traffic in that area, especially the traffic that is aligned with Turner Warnell. Well, believe it or not, that's it. Those were the highlights from the May 13th City Council meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week because we're going to meet next week as well.
That's Mayor Michael Evans. And a note to the Mansfield moms, listen up. Due to inclement weather on Mother's Day, Hawaiian Falls right here in Mansfield is offering free admission to all moms this coming weekend, May 18th and 19th. Mom can race her kids down one of the speed slides, float down the lazy river, or splash in the wave pool with the entire family. Hawaiian Falls officially kicks off daily operations on Friday, May 24th at all 3 of their water parks. Hawaiian Falls is located right here in Mansfield at Highway 360 at Heritage Parkway. For more information about special events, operating hours, directions, tickets, season passes, log on to hfalls.com. And that's again, hfalls.com. Broncos baseball are still kicking, and we'll talk about it because sports is next.
Are you ready to create unforgettable memories? Picture this: an enchanting event venue nestled amidst breathtaking landscapes with panoramic views right here in Mansfield. The Grandview Event Center is the perfect setting to bring your vision to life. From intimate gatherings to large-scale extravaganzas, the Grandview has flexible spaces to accommodate any occasion, be it a wedding reception, corporate Christmas party, or community gathering. Book your next unforgettable experience at thegrandviewmansfield.com. That's thegrandviewmansfield.com. The Grandview Event Center, where memories are made and dreams become reality. Book your event today.
I'm Philip Washington, Chief Investment Officer of Stonehill Wealth Management and host of the Wealth Building Made Simple podcast. First book I read in college was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed my life. And since then, I've read tons and tons of books on money, and what I've done is taken those lessons, simplified them, and I talk about those lessons on my podcast, Wealth Building Made Simple. So come hang out with us. We're on every major platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, Wealth Building Made Simple.
In sports, the Legacy High School Broncos baseball is now the only remaining Mansfield ISD team that is still alive in the playoffs. In a best-of-3 game series this past weekend, Lakeridge and Mansfield were each downed in just 2 games, while Legacy only needed 2 games to successfully move on to the regional quarterfinals by beating Saxe 4-0 and 5-4. This Saturday at a neutral location, Legacy's next opponent are the Rockwall Heath Hawks, who coincidentally downed Lakeridge last weekend. The Broncos and the Hawks play a best-of-3 series, and the winner of that series moves on to the regional semifinals. Elsewhere, the Legacy Lady Broncos softball made a valiant effort in the playoffs as their run for the state championship came to an end this past weekend, losing 2 straight games to Waco Midway 3-1 and 11 to 7. If you have a comment about the show, the news, whatever's on your mind locally, the good, the bad, the ugly, you know you can reach us by voicemail at 817-435-2938. Again, that voicemail number, 817-435-2938. Tell us what's on your mind. This coming Saturday, May 18th, is National No Dirty Dishes Day, a day to take a break from your regular routine and keep the sinks clear of all those dirty dishes. You can celebrate by washing all the dishes the day before, using disposable plates and cutlery, eating finger foods such as pizza, eating all your meals out on the town, or eating your meals in the containers they came from. Whatever you do this coming Saturday, remember, no dirty dishes.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
Want to preserve your memory and cognition as you age? I'm Angel Biasatti, and we'll be talking about it more in Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
Do you ever think, I'm just going to buy some land and build? It's a common desire here in Texas. I'm Beth Steinke, and I'm going to shed some light on why more people don't follow through on that dream today on the Mansfield Real Estate Report.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, I'll be talking about a cocktail that is an origami-inspired libation and is perfectly balanced flight of flavors to take off.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by the Grandview Event Center in Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community, and why so many people trust Methodist.
Congratulations to Deborah Murphy, who knew that our first post office in Mansfield was opened in 1860. Incidentally, our city's co-founder, Julian Field, was appointed as the first Postmaster General of Mansfield. When we come back, this week's trivia question. This is About Mansfield.
Hey, it's Steve Casillo, and are you ready to make your voice heard? Want to bring out your ideas to life through captivating conversations and engaging visuals? Look no further than Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio, your one-stop destination for award-winning audio and video podcast recording. Equipped with cutting-edge microphones, crystal clear audio recording, and high-definition cameras, we're here to turn your ideas into engrossing content. But it's not just about the equipment. We're dedicated to bringing out the best in your content. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we're here to elevate your podcasting game. We'll even help you with intro music, transitions, voiceover, and that professional polish that sets your podcast apart. So whether you're into interviews, storytelling, or simply sharing your expertise, Podcast Mansfield can help bring your podcasting dreams to life. Visit podcastmansfield.com. Podcast Mansfield, where creating your podcast masterpiece has never been easier.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto, home, commercial, and life insurance. I was born and raised here in Mansfield, Texas. We're active in the community, and Mansfield's a town we really care about. Our office has over 30 years experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
It is time right here, right now for the highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield Trivia Question. If you are the first person to email the correct answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com, you will receive a $25 restaurant gift card brought to you by Joe Jenkins Insurance. Whether you're looking for homeowners, auto, commercial, or any other type of insurance, Joe has helped Mansfield area residents understand the insurance coverage that best fit their needs since 2010. And you can find them on the internet at joejenkinsinsurance.com. And I mention this every week, not everyone wins on a Wednesday. So if you're hearing this on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whenever, give it a shot. You may be taking home a $25 restaurant gift card. Colleen, it's all teed up. It's your turn.
Well, Steve, the Blessing Funeral Home sits atop the hill at 401 East Elm Street in historic Mansfield, in a building that was constructed in 1877, which was on the western edge of the Mansfield male and female college campus. This week's trivia question is, what was the Blessing Funeral Home's two-story building originally used for in 1877? Email your answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com. Again, what was the Blessing Funeral Home's two-story building originally used for in 1877? Good luck, and thanks to Joe Jenkins Insurance for the gift card.
This is Randall Kennedy, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti is here with multiple ways to maintain your memory and cognition in Methodist Mansfield News to Know. Angel?
Several recent studies have suggested that adults aged 60 and older may experience better memory and cognition with daily multivitamins. While supplements can offer some benefit, experts caution against viewing them as a magic solution to prevent delayed cognition. One should also focus on healthy habits like exercising, socializing, and eating right, which can make a significant difference. These habits are essential for maintaining cognitive well-being and overall health. Experts emphasize the importance of nutrition over supplements. While a multivitamin isn't necessarily harmful, many brain-boosting nutrients can be found in food. Incorporating green, leafy vegetables, omega-3 rich foods like salmon, walnuts, and avocados, and following a Mediterranean diet can support learning, memory, and cognitive well-being. Before starting any new supplements, it's crucial to consult with your primary care physician, especially if you're on other medications. Some supplements can interact with medications and increase the risk of complications. Additionally, regular checkups can help identify underlying health issues that may affect cognition. Besides nutrition and rest, engage in activities that stimulate the brain and are essential for cognitive health. Socializing with others, playing brain games, or solving puzzles strengthen neural connections and mental processes. Remember, use it or lose it applies to the brain health as well. While daily multivitamins can be a part of a broader approach to maintaining cognitive health, they're not a substitute for healthy habits and regular medical checkups. Prioritize exercise, socialization, healthy eating, and brain-stimulating activities for optimal well-being as you age. Remember, consult with your healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your supplement regimen. Here's to staying sharp and vibrant at any age. I'm Angel Biasatti reporting for the About Mansfield podcast.
Realtor Beth Steinke talks about things you should know before buying land in Texas in the Mansfield Real Estate Market Update. Beth?
Buying land in Texas can be a great investment. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, start a farm or ranch, or simply hold on to the land as a long-term investment. Rarely a week goes by, though, that I don't hear someone say, I just want to buy some land and build a barn-dominium. This statement gives me so many mixed emotions because I want to be so excited for the person and so supportive of their dreams. But I also know what a really difficult endeavor that particular dream can be. Between deed restrictions on almost every available parcel and difficulties financing raw land, couple that with the availability and cost of bringing in utilities, building on land is not as easy as you may think. It is critically important that you do your due diligence and be aware of the unique considerations that come along with buying land here in the Lone Star State. Here are some of the things to keep in mind as you start your land buying journey in Texas. Research the area. As with any real estate purchase, it's important that you do your homework on the area where you're considering buying the land. Look into things like the local economy, crime rates, school districts, as well as the availability of utilities like water, electricity, and sewage. Just this week, I heard from someone who had moved to a rural area and their electric bill was 3 times what they were used to paying in the city. You should also consider the distance to nearby towns, cities, and hospitals, as well as any natural hazards such as flooding and wildfire risk. But you also need to understand the property's zoning. Before you buy land in Texas, it's important to understand how the property is zoned. Zoning regulations can affect how you use the land, as well as what types of structures you can build on it. So, for example, a property zoned for agricultural may not be suitable for building a residential home. It's the rare parcel that is not governed by some sort of deed restrictions, even far out into the country. In Texas, deed restrictions are legal agreements that place limits on how a piece of property can be used or developed. These restrictions are typically written into the property's deed, which is a legal document that outlines the rights and obligations of the owner. Deed restriction can be placed on property by the previous landowner, the developer, the builder, the local government, or an HOA. Some common types of deed restrictions that may exist on a residential land parcel in Texas might include use restrictions. These restrictions limit how the property can be used. For example, a use restriction may prohibit the property from being used for commercial purposes. So you may be able to have those eggs with your chickens, but you may not be able to sell them. Or it may require that the property be used for residential purposes only. They can also restrict the type and number of animals you are able to have beyond the county restrictions. If your dream involves piglets and goats, we'd better make sure that you can live that dream before you buy the land. There can be building restrictions. These restrictions place limits on the type of structures that can be built on the property. Building restrictions may specify things like the size, the style, and the materials of the structures that can be built on the land. Many rural properties will not allow additional dwelling units like a guest house. I know this seems unlikely, but we run into it every day. Maintenance restrictions. These restrictions place requirements on the property owner to maintain the property in a certain way. Maintenance restrictions may require the property owner to keep the property clean and well maintained, or they may specify certain landscaping or upkeep requirements. There may even be architectural restrictions. These restrictions place limits on the type and style of the initial home, or any alterations or modifications that can be made to the property. Architectural restrictions may prohibit the property owner from making certain changes to the property, such as adding a pool or restricting certain fence types, style, or location. Beyond deed restriction and zoning and specific area information, you'll want to consider the cost of installing utilities and maintenance. If you're planning on building on the land, it's important to consider bringing utilities like water, electricity, and sewage to the property. This can be a significant expense, especially if the land is remote or not served by existing utility infrastructure. You may also consider the ongoing cost of maintaining the land, including things like mowing, fencing, and pest control. It's far more difficult than you might think to find an electrician or a plumber willing to go that far to service your home. An up-to-date property survey is a must. Before you buy land in Texas, it is a very good idea to have a professional survey conducted to ensure that you have a clear understanding of the property's boundaries and any potential issues. In fact, I've got a property that should have closed in December, but the neighbor's fence is on the survey on the neighbor's property. So we're going to have to get that fixed before we can move to closing. A survey can help you avoid future disputes with those neighbors or other potential issues down the road. Lastly, work with a knowledgeable real estate agent. Buying land in Texas can be a complex process, especially if you're new to the area. Working with a knowledgeable real estate agent can help ensure that you have the support and guidance that you need to navigate the process and make an informed decision. Are real estate questions on your mind? Send me a message at info@aboutmansfield.com. For the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Beth Steinke with Century 21 Judge Fight.
Shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain serves up an origami-inspired libation in the cocktail of the week. Brian?
This week's cocktail of the week is the Paper Plane. The Paper Plane is a modern classic cocktail that has captured the hearts of bartenders and cocktail enthusiasts alike. Its origin story is a testament to the creativity and ingenuity of the bartending community, and its well-balanced flavors have solidified its place in the canons of great cocktails. The paper plane was created by Sam Ross, a renowned bartender who has worked at some of the most prestigious bars in New York City and beyond. In 2007, while working at Milk and Honey, a pioneering cocktail bar on the Lower East Side, Ross was tasked with creating a new drink for the menu. He drew inspiration from a classic cocktail called The Last Word, which features equal parts gin, green chartreuse, maraschino liqueur, and lime juice. Ross decided to riff on the Last Word formula by using bourbon instead of gin and substituting Aperol, an Italian aperitif, for the maraschino liqueur. He kept the equal part ratio and added fresh lemon juice to balance the sweetness of the Aperol and the richness of the bourbon. The result of the cocktail was a beautiful amber hue and complex flavor profile that perfectly balances the bitterness of the Aperol, the sweetness of the bourbon, and the tartness of the lemon juice. The name Paper Plane was inspired by a song of the same name by MIA, which was popular at the time. The song's lyrics, "I fly like a paper, get high like the planes," perfectly captured the cocktail's soaring flavors and its ability to transport the drinker to a higher plane of enjoyment. But as always, don't worry about taking notes as I'm giving out the ingredients and instructions. I always post them on bourbongospel.com. So what do you need to make a paper plane? You'll need 3/4 of an ounce of a good bourbon, 3/4 of an ounce of Aperol, 3/4 of an ounce of Amaro, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice. How do you make the drink? First, chill a cocktail glass by filling with ice and then setting it aside. And then in a cocktail tin, combine the bourbon, the Aperol, the Amaro, and the fresh lemon juice. Fill the tin with ice and shake vigorously for 15 to 20 seconds until well chilled and slightly diluted. Discard the ice from the chilled cocktail glass, then double strain the cocktail into the chilled glass using a regular strainer and a fine mesh strainer to ensure a smooth, pulp-free texture. Serve the drink immediately and enjoy the complex, well-balanced flavors. The paper plane quickly gained popularity among bartenders and cocktail enthusiasts alike, thanks in part to its inclusion in Ross' influential cocktail book, The Bar Book, Elements of Cocktail Techniques. The book, published in 2014, helped cement the paper plane status as a modern classic and introduced it to a wider audience. As the paper plane's fame grew, so did its variations. Some bartenders experimented with different types of bourbon or substituted another Amari for the Amaro Nonino, which played portions and adjusted the balance of bitter, sweet, and sour to suit their taste. One notable variation of the paper airplane, which includes floating Angostura bitters on top of the cocktail. This variation adds an extra layer of complexity and aromatics to the drink, making it a favorite among bitter enthusiasts. But despite its relatively short history, the paper plane has already left an indelible mark on the world of cocktails. Its popularity has helped elevate the status of Aperol and Amaro, two Italian aperitifs that were previously less well known in the United States. It's also inspired a new generation of bartenders to experiment with equal parts cocktails to push the boundaries of what is possible with just a few simple ingredients. And as you sip your paper plane, take a minute to appreciate the skill and creativity that went into its creation. As always, I'm open to hear your take and your input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, as Mark Twain said, too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
We're back in 60 seconds with the conclusion of Steve's interview with Fire Chief Mike Ross.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, This city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Taronda Hillman, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. And today, the conclusion of our interview with Fire Chief Mike Ross. Enjoy. As a firefighter, was there a situation where you went into a challenging fire, and how did you approach that?
I think challenge depends upon a lot on what your rank is at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because as a young firefighter, I'm very task oriented. I mean, all I care about is this hose, this nozzle, that fire, and I'm very singular minded. As you promote through the ranks, your scope tends to widen a little bit, so your worry also increases because there's more things that you're concerned about. So as a firefighter, I'm listening to my lieutenant or captain. He's telling me where to go, telling me where to squirt water. You put the water on the fire, but
right.
Sometimes we have to reveal concealed spaces, those kind of things. I'm very, very task oriented at that level. So there were, I think, the most challenging as a junior officer, as a lieutenant, was I found myself in an arson situation, which we didn't realize at the time. Furniture was pushed up against windows, so in order to conceal the fact that there was a fire that was set in this building, I found myself and my crew going in circles in a big closet, big walk-in closet, before we realized what was going on, and then we were able to, of course, figure out that the furniture was placed against the windows, and we were able to create some light for ourselves and relieve some of that smoke. But as challenging goes, I think the most challenge that I've ever felt from a structure fire was as a battalion chief. Whenever I was in command of a couple of fires, there's been 2 times in my career whenever I've had to look at the entirety of a situation. We have crews that are dedicated to inside this structure that's been on fire for I don't really know how long, and I'm looking at the roof structure and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how long this thing is going to be standing. And so, when you get that gut feeling, and I'm walking around this building taking a 360, just taking in everything I can, and the people on the inside, they're always going to tell you the same thing: just 5 more minutes, boss. 5 more minutes. Well, in this instance, I just had this feeling we've got to pull out. So we did an emergency withdrawal. On my orders, we pulled out of this house, and within a couple of minutes, the roof collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Those kind of things still haunt me a little bit, because what if I hadn't have gotten that feeling? I always worry, what if? Right. And so to me, that's the challenge is learning enough about the job to make those kind of decisions when you have to make them, and then be sure about it.
When you're at home at night and you hear a fire siren down the street, does that get the goosebumps going, get the blood rushing a little faster, that I wonder what's going on?
I don't wonder what's going on, because I've dealt with that for 25 years. I kind of know what they're probably responding to. If I hear multiple trucks responding, or whether or not I can tell the difference between an ambulance siren and a fire truck siren. Right. So, but it does, whenever I hear them, I just know somebody's going to work. It makes me smile a little bit.
They're earning their paycheck.
And I always, every time I hear sirens, I think, man, I want them to be safe. That's all.
You talked about some of the different levels. You mentioned battalion chief. You mentioned lieutenant. You are obviously the fire chief. Let's talk about the hierarchy. So, from the point a person is hired, they're a firefighter, but there's a rank. And how does that rank go up the ladder up to fire chief?
That is true. So the rank structure in our department, starting from the bottom, is a probational firefighter. So for our first year, our firefighters wear this big orange shield on the front of their helmet, indicating to all the other people that, hey, I'm I'm new.
Yeah.
I'm still. That may or may not be the case. Sometimes we've pulled these people from other departments, which makes me a little proud whenever they decide to come to Mansfield as opposed to the city they were in. But we still treat everyone the same. They go through that first year. It's a learning phase. It's when they're developing trust with their officer, with the people that they work in the station with. And once that trust has been fulfilled at the end of that probationary year, and they say, all right, well, you've made it. And then they get to change out that big orange shield for the normal, black shield that indicates what station they're at. So from that firefighter probationary level goes to regular firefighter paramedic. Everyone in the city of Mansfield, as far as the fire department is concerned, is a paramedic. Mm-hmm. And we require that. And there's 3 levels of EMT intermediate, and then paramedic is the highest. So we require a significant level of training before we even send people to the fire academy or bring them on, because we run both EMS and fire response within the city.
Right.
So beyond firefighter paramedic, the next step up is you get to move off the ambulance, and your primary responsibility is to drive the fire truck. We call that position apparatus operator or driver engineer. Some cities call it a chauffeur's position. There's a lot of different names for it, but in our city we refer to as driver engineer most usually. From that point, you transition to a fire officer's role, or company officer, as we will refer to it commonly. And that we no longer have lieutenant in our city, just because of our size. We transition from driver engineer to captain once they've taken the promotional exam. They've gone through whatever battery of testing that we require them to go through, and depending upon if there's an open position, they get that rank. And then we have a big ceremony to do a badge pinning to make sure everyone knows that this is the new captain. So be ready. From that captain spot, your next spot is going to be a battalion chief, and that could be either a battalion chief over one of the shifts, A, B, and C, or a battalion chief over training division. At that level, you're over either a shift or a division. So that could be an EMS chief, that could be a logistics section or division chief, that could be the fire marshal. They also hold that same rank. So the fire department it's not just emergency response, but we're also we have some other things to make sure that happens, and that the city stays safe, such as the fire prevention division. We have our logistics division that keeps the trucks running, keeps guys in uniforms, make sure that all those little things that are taken care of are taken care of. And of course, our EMS division, not just the EMS side, but the support side too. So there's a lot of administrative functions behind the scenes that need to occur in order to make sure that we are staying current. As a matter of fact, the state is doing an inspection of our EMS program today. So hopefully whenever I get back to my office, I'll have some good news.
Very good.
That we passed.
Very good. Let's go back to the apparatus driver.
Okay.
You get a call to a residential neighborhood, and they drive down a street. The streets are pretty thin in some of these neighborhoods, my neighborhood included. You get a couple of dualies that are parked at the curb. How do you determine whether you can make it through that small slot of 2 trucks parked on curb to curb? And what do you do if you can't make it through?
Well, that happens.
I bet it does. Yeah,
and not just for cars parked on the streets like that. And most of the time, those cars are legally parked, so there's nothing that we can do.
Sure.
And if absolutely we can't. If we're close enough, they'll just park the truck right there. The guys will get out and go see what they can do. If they have to get to that particular house and to pull lines off of it or off the truck or whatever, we'll back out and they'll go a different way. Many times, we are obstructed by overhead limbs as well. Trees that overhang the streets that can stop our trucks from driving down the street. So when we spot those, we try to make sure that we get those taken care of.
As a former HOA president, yes, I have received letters from the fire department saying we need you to cut your trees to a minimum of 14 feet.
Mm-hmm, correct.
At the entrance of your subdivision, and out of respect, we would have that done within 48 hours. Because I know that these apparatus, they're $1 million engines.
Yes.
And we don't want to be the ones scratching them up.
We have I mean, we have damage right now today on a ladder truck from hitting branches. You know, if they think they can clear them and then it's an emergency, well, they're going to go. I mean, that's what we do. That's our job. And we'll try to do what we can later. I mean, if it's an avoidable, then we'll avoid it. And going back to those two dualies, many times we can allow a firefighter to get off the truck. We'll just try to position as much as we can, as good as we can, to try to make it between those, and we'll have a spotter to, you know, if it's that close, we'll have a spotter to see if we can get through there. If we can't, we'll go a different route.
Way back when, earlier in this interview, you mentioned that you applied for a job at Station 1. There are currently 5 stations in Mansfield.
Correct.
Is Mansfield being equally covered with 5 stations, or is there the future? Is there a 6th station in the future, a 7th or 8th station in the future? And if so, where would you like those to be?
I envision more than there is a need currently for a 6th station, and as that development grows down in the southern corridor of our city, southwestern portion, that's where the Station 6 will go. I am not exactly sure where Station 6 will go as of yet. We are currently working on that actually as a plan moving forward to find that land and develop that station. I think it'll take it. If we say go today, it'll probably take me 3 years just to hire the people to staff it.
Yeah.
Just because it's difficult to find staffing, as we talked about earlier. So the more notice that I can possibly have, the better. But I would say it's going to be in that southwest corridor, somewhere around 287 Lone Star-ish.
South Point.
And I would say, depending upon, I mean, we have our extraterritorial jurisdiction down south that we could potentially annex. And if we do, that may lead to some additional stations in the future as well. With 6 fire stations in their current locations, we have pretty good coverage. As you may or may not be aware of, last year we were happy to accept an ISO 1 designation from the Insurance Service Organization.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So that takes into account our response times, our water flow, our training levels, our staffing levels. So I think more than anything, it just is acknowledgement that, you know, on a national level, it says, hey, you're doing pretty good.
A little pat on the back.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with a pat on the back. Station 1 is moving. Is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing. I never did like that. Once I got in the department and we realized what a pain it was where Station 1's location is, that every parade we have in the city, every special event, it impacts our response from that station. And not just, you know, during that time, but when we're shutting that down for, you know, a couple of days for special events, that delays our response time to people who have nothing to do with that. And by moving us out of that area and, you know, the location that we're planning on going, which is Broad and Walnut Creek in the southeast corner of that, it gives us access up and down Walnut Creek. It gives us access up and down Broad Street, but keeps us on the other side of the railroad track so that we're not trapped by the train.
Right.
So there was a lot of thought that went into that station location. I think it'll be more beneficial in the long term.
Does it also give you the opportunity to upgrade technology? Because you've got a brand new, I mean, you're starting with a clean slate. And you go, you know what? Station 1, where it exists now, is lacking in this type of technology, whether it's, fiber optic cables or something as simple as that. We're starting with a clean slate. We want the newest, the best in the new location.
Yeah, for someone who's never maybe or remembers visiting Station 1, if you ever went to the firefighters' dorm room area, you'd notice that it was, you know, open. Like your beds are just separated by lockers. Everyone can, you know, hear each other snore, breathe, whatever. There's no privacy there. So with females in our department, that becomes an issue. We want to be able to provide some privacy to make it as comfortable as possible. So that's one specific area that we can change, making those little dorm rooms private so that we're not your sleep isn't affected by someone else's, snoring or grooming habits or some other issue. Plus, just privacy for changing clothes, things like that. Another area that we will definitely improve upon is station alerting. That station, as you're aware, was built in 1998. So, it's pretty aged. 25-year-old technology is what we've relied upon there for the longest time. They have station alerting technology now that can alert specific dorm rooms and not bother others if they're not involved in that particular 911 call. So if this particular, say that out of this station is a battalion chief, an ambulance, and a fire truck, if the call requires just the fire truck or just the ambulance, we can alert just those people who are sleeping in those dorm quarters without disturbing the needed sleep of those firefighters that are sleeping.
So the alarm
aren't involved.
The alarm does not go off station wide. It goes off in these pods
individually.
Wow.
It will go off station wide, but and there's also things like the tone. Now, you are alerted immediately by loud tones and bright lights. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt that there was a call going on, and it takes a minute. Sometimes you can have a little disorientation as you are abruptly woken from sleep. The newer technology will creep up on you. So it starts as a low tone, and then the volume gets a little louder and a little louder and a little louder until, so that you're not abruptly awoken from sleep, which is shown to, result in some, cardiac issues and some intense stress levels.
But it's not a 15-minute gentle alarm.
No. It's over a few seconds. It's over a few seconds.
Since we're laughing, is there a humorous moment that took place in your career that still makes you laugh today?
Oh, man. There's so many humorous moments. I think that, in this business, you have to have some sort of coping mechanism in order to deal with some of the things that we deal with on a daily basis. But one of the things that I always enjoyed that made me laugh every time was as I don't even know if I should be telling the world this.
Oh, nobody listens to this podcast, so it's just you and me.
All right. So as those firefighters, they approach the end of their probationary year. Mm-hmm. It's typical that they're going to receive a little bit of
fun,
some gentle fun, some brotherly love or sisterly love. Usually those on their very last day of the probationary cycle, they end up, mostly spending the day wet.
Oh,
so they go through. This story. I don't know that this story necessarily, happened to me, but I'll tell you a story about. We do all these training scenarios, and people would pose themselves up on top of a roof or something. They'd bring the rookie firefighter out to have a chat with them, to talk about the things that they've been doing wrong, the reasons why they might not make their probation. We'd usually take them out to the patio outside to the station, have them sit down on the bench, and we'd start telling them about, some of the stuff they were doing wrong. Well, all along, there were people stationed on the roof with some buckets of water just to make sure that, they were out of sight. And that was usually the culmination of their day, was having that bucket of water splashed on them. And it's one of those things that just makes you smile. You've gone through it. At that point, you're one of them. You're one of them now.
It keeps you loose. You're part of the team.
Yeah.
I would assume there's practical jokes involved, but
there's been some saran wrap on the toilet seats. There's been, ketchup packets or whatever you put under there as well. Kool-Aid and towels, Kool-Aid powder.
Gotcha. Do you ever watch fire-related TV?
On occasion, speaking of making me laugh, I think some of that does. I do find that Tacoma FD is pretty funny. If you've watched Tacoma FD, that's probably the most realistic for station life, and it is quite tongue in cheek, but I do find that somewhat funny.
I think the last fire show that I watched on a regular basis was Emergency.
Okay, way back when.
Yeah, way back when. Although there's
Squad 51.
Yeah, although there's what's the one about the wildfire?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name of it.
And I keep asking myself, well, when are they going to put the fire out? I guess once the fire is out, the series is done.
Well, that's one thing I know very little about is fighting wildfires. Never had that experience.
We've reached that point where I'm just going to let you talk into an open mic. If you want to give any shout outs, if you want to give any thanks, if you want to maybe do a conclusion on the fire department, if there's anything that you want to say thanks to, now's the time to do it.
First people I want to thank is the people that work for me. I mean, this is a great department. I spent many years working on improvements here, there, everywhere. I went from the shift, being a shift guy, battalion chief on shift in 2014, to moving into the operations chief role, which is an assistant chief role. In that 2014 year, April 1st, as a matter of fact, April Fool's Day. But it was no trick. I ended up spending, however many years it's been since then, moving from the operations chief role into the fire chief's role. And they have helped me to mold a department that I think can stand on its own, in opposition to any other department out there that you say we are who we are, and this is what we can do. This is why people want to work here. And, we've been finding, the more we go out into the world that, people start to know who Mansfield Fire Department is and who the city of Mansfield is. And I appreciate that, because I know it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of effort for everyone involved, and not just the people that work for me, but the people who give us support. I mean, we wouldn't have the equipment that we have. We wouldn't have the training, the funding for the training we have if it wasn't for our city council members.
Sure.
Through the ages. They've always shown us a great deal of support. So, thanks to them, thanks to the people who train our guys, thanks to the people who make sure that, when they go home every night, whether it's part of the job or not, and they worry about the next day and what can we work on to make us better. That mindset is what, I think continues to fuel our department. Beyond that, everyone out there who supports us, I want to thank that. Citizens who wave at us when we go and, make us feel like we're out there doing a good job for you. We love to hear it. As much as you want to say it, that's as much as we want to hear it. So appreciate that.
I think the next time I see a firefighter strolling up and down the aisles of a grocery store, it may not be a bad idea for someone, a citizen from the community, to say, "Hey, you know what? I'd like to chip in." And that's still stuck in my mind, that the firefighters pay for their own meals. So the next time you see a firefighter wandering up and down the aisles of a grocery store, consider helping him out.
Yeah, and tell them to make sure they're making healthy choices.
Yes, put the Oreos back. So, speaking of healthy choices, Chief Ross, what's your favorite ice cream?
I'm not much of a sweets person, but if I had to choose, I wanted to say strawberry.
Strawberry ice cream.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody who sits in that chair, that very chair right there, goes through what's called the lightning round.
Oh, okay.
It's a very simple exercise of this or that. I was going to say 10, but I think I only have 9, and then you knocked on the door. So if you're ready.
Sure.
Night or day?
Night.
Fire pole or staircase?
Oh, fire pole. Glad you asked that one.
City or country?
City.
Wildfire or structure fire?
Structure fire, although I would be saddened.
Pie or cake?
Pie.
Bell ringing or sirens wailing?
Sirens wailing.
Acoustic or electric?
Acoustic.
Firehouse dog or cat?
I guess I'm a dog person. Let's go with dog.
Movie theater or Netflix?
Depends on the movie. I know it's a quick lightning round. Let's go with movie theater.
What's the last movie you saw at a theater?
What was the last movie I saw in a theater? Oh, it just came out about the atomic bomb.
Oppenheimer. And again, your favorite ice cream?
Strawberry.
It's amazing how many people change in just the 60 seconds after the lightning round. You're consistent.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Chief Mike Ross, Mansfield Fire Department. It's been a fascinating hour spending with you. And as I try to say to Mansfield police officers, Mansfield firefighters, thank you for your service to the city of Mansfield.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. My whole almost 25 years has been an absolute pleasure.
And thank you for being on About Mansfield.
Welcome.
Coming up next week on About Mansfield, we will talk in studio with yet another fascinating person from our community. You just have to tune in to find out who it is. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, love, or support this podcast if you haven't already. So you never miss an episode, you head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. Enter your email address right there on the homepage. We will never send you any spam. We promise.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor feature Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know Angel Biasatti. Mansfield Real Estate Market Update Beth Steinke. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without written consent is prohibited. We thank you all for listening on behalf of the entire news team. I'm Steve Casillo, and this is About Mansfield.